ready to go.
You and me, a dream team.
Very good choice, my friend. Let's go for the title defense.
Welcome to the 8th round of the DTM 2013 here in Oschersleben. 3 rounds to go, but today it marks the beginning of the hot phase in the battle for the title. Mike Rockenfeller got his first match point. So this will be a thrilling race weekend. We do have all the highlights for you. Please enjoy.
Thanks very much, Yves. Well, we look down on the ancient city of Magdeburg, the racetrack itself at Oschersleben. Well, just about 20 minutes drive away. And we're in the middle of potato fields and those wind turbines. A big crowd lining up for this race. And it is the 400th DTM race since it all started back in 1984. That man leads the championship. Mike Rockenfeller, he could take the title here this weekend. His nearest rival, there he is, Christian Vittoris for Mercedes-Benz. Rob Wickens, of course, also in the title hunt. He won at the previous round at the Nürburgring. And Gary Paffett still has a slim chance. Gary taking part in his 100th DTM performance. And Bruno Spengler, the reigning champion, also has a slim chance of taking the title. So does Augusto Farfus. So, coming up, qualifying. But first, we will check out the track here with the Hankook animation. And the first thing to say, it is an anti-clockwise circuit. It is one of the slowest circuits on the DTM Tour, if not the slowest. And the first corner is one of the very tightest. And they blast off towards that corner, which is a 90-degree turn. You see, there it is. I have to brake very hard. Down to second gear for this. It's only just about 100 miles an hour. And then immediately into the long, long right-hander, all overlooked by the hotel that's there. Then a little short shoot down here until another second gear corner. Round that one. And then trying to get maximum traction here in high downforce, these cars for this race. And then a faster left-hander. Fourth gear corner. And then again, heavy braking down into another second gear corner. Accelerating away and then through the corner they call the triple. That's a tricky chicane, quite fast as chicanes go. It flows quite well. And then onto the fastest part of the circuit here. But top speed's pretty low here, only about 140 miles an hour as they brake again down into this right-hander, which then flicks to the left. And then there's another short straight to a pretty tricky right-hander again, quite fast. And then down to the last corner, the Zeppelin turn, around that. And accelerating back to the end of a lap here. Very technical circuit, this Oschersleben. And as ever, the race just over the 100-mile mark on this 3.696-kilometre racetrack. So into qualifying here on a difficult day. There was a little bit of rain, but Bruno Spengler, he was number one. The man who won here a year ago. He was on the pole here a year ago, there with Jens Marquardt. And Bruno Spengler very happy, but only for the time being because there was a problem with the car. So there's Spengler, all those names on his car, and now he finds out that his time had been taken away. He will drop 5 places down the grid.
It's only one tire which has been changed, which was in mixed actually in 2 sets of tires in qualifying, but all tires were new, all tires were the same, and all these tires were planned for qualifying. So it's not like, you know, we tried anything. It's just a little mistake from the team, but I'm going to swallow this tonight and be in good shape tomorrow and try and do the best race I can from 6th place.
Yeah, huge disappointment. That promoted Jamie Green to pole position, his first for Audi. There he is in the Red Bull A5 DTM machine, and he took the pole. And Green absolutely delighted because it's his first pole for Audi. Jamie Green, let's hear from him now.
It's my best result with Audi in qualifying so far, so it's a step forward. The conditions were changeable, so easy to get it wrong, but the team did a good job to get me on track at the right time when it was dry or before the heavy rain came.
There, he qualified 3rd, but of course with the Spengler problem goes to a 2nd place and starts on the front row of the grid. Augusto Farfus, already a winner this season and trying to keep those championship hopes alive.
There is just 3 races left, including tomorrow, so we have to try to do our very best to try to get some points towards Mike. But anyhow, I want just to give my very best, and then we see tomorrow evening what it will be.
Yeah, we will see. Here is Mike Rockenfeller. Been having an absolutely fantastic season in the Phoenix Run car, and as we said, he does have the chance of taking the title here. He starts P3.
Of course, prediction is quite difficult in DTM. I try to do my best. I will try to fight for the podium. I try to get a trophy here, and the weather is, unpredictable.
Absolutely. There was a little bit of drizzle in the qualifying session, broken, of course, into its 4 parts, and a few people had some moments. There's Adrian Tambay going into the gravel. A lock-up there from Timo Glock. And Rob Wickens was also off into the boonies. But Christian Vittoris, he had a horrible qualifying, and the man second in the championship was really struggling.
Well, it was a difficult session. At the beginning it was a little bit wet, and at the end when the track was at its best, I got some traffic and couldn't get past, so I lost a lot of time there.
And look at Rob Wickens really hanging the tail out, the grip just not there, and Rob Wickens, well, a winner last time out, but only in 11th place and a trip through the gravel trap. And let's check out the results. So Spengler, of course, on the pole initially, put back down 5 places. Then it was Green, Farfus, Rockenfeller, Werner, Albuquerque, Gary Paffett right in the hunt, and Molina, and going right the way through, all the way down to, look at Christian Vittoris only in 21st place and Mary in 22nd position. And also noting there in 13th place, Matthias Ekstrom, who's been a winner here in the past. So quite a lot of the big names having a few problems.
It's Robert Wickens with me, and for sure I want to talk with you, Robert, about Nürburgring in your 2nd DTM season. You won, it was your first victory, so how did it feel on the top of the podium?
Yeah, to be honest, it felt amazing, you know. I felt like it was a long time coming, you know, especially with Nürburgring, the way that happened, and, you know, and then even like Brands Hatch, I had strong races. Lausitzring was another strong race for me, and I thought, you know, it's only a matter of time. If I keep doing what I'm doing, maybe I'll get a victory. And Nürburgring was really amazing, especially with the conditions. It was really difficult, and yeah, Mercedes did a great job with the strategy to give me a chance to win, and luckily I didn't make any mistakes.
And you did an amazing job. Do you remember this fantastic overtaking? I think it was the best move of the race when you overtook outside in front of the Mercedes fans. I think it was Augusto Farfus and Adrien Tambay, both.
Yeah, it's actually funny. People are actually talking more about the past than me actually winning the race. So it's, I mean, to be honest, I didn't think it was going to be spectacular. You know, as I thought, you know, might as well try and see what happens. But it, yeah, definitely on TV, it looks really good. And yeah, I guess I'm happy that it was me passing people and not the one that was being passed. But yeah, I mean, there's not really much I can say. I mean, it's not like to be honest, I didn't plan it. It just kind of happened. And but maybe I had it in my head because I've done that pass before in previous championships and 2 other situations, and it's worked. Now it's worked 3 for 3. So.
Wow, for us it was definitely spectacular. But Robert, now talking about the race today, qualifying yesterday, actually you are in the starting position, the best Mercedes starting from P11, Gary from P12 and Christian Vittoris from P20. So what happened?
Yeah, it was a difficult day yesterday. I mean, it's something, it happens in DTM. The competition is so close, and every now and then you get caught out by some weather or whatever the case may be. But yeah, yesterday was a tough day. We maybe waited a bit too long in Q2 to make my first run, and already on the outlap it was raining. And we actually waited 2 minutes longer than the rest. And yeah, I lost 6/10 in the last sector, and unfortunately, when you lose 6/10 in one sector, you're not going through to Q3. So, but I only missed it by a couple hundredths anyway. So it was a shame. I think Q3 was possible, and I think Gary showed that before his penalty that he had. And yeah, it's just a shame that I wasn't there to be there with him.
But you are the main characters and the closest followers of Mike Rockenfeller in the championship. What's possible for the race today?
I mean, anything. We have to see what the weather does. It could go either way. It's a little bit cloudy right now. And no, but like in qualifying yesterday, it was, I thought, to be honest, it was going to be dry the whole time. And then 1 minute before Q1, it started raining just to make everyone's life really complicated. So, I mean, I think for me to win the race, I'm going to need some weather on my side. But I think a podium is possible regardless, just from strategy.
All the best to you, and now it's racing time. Go for it.
Super chat there with Robert Wickens. Definitely established himself as one of the main names of the DTM now. Well, he talked about the weather, and the rain has stayed away, and look at the crowds here, very busy grid as everybody prepares for this race. As we said, it's an anti-clockwise circuit, so drivers not too used to this. Hopefully they've all been doing a few neck exercises. There's Christian Vittoris right near the back, the man who currently lies in second place in the championship. Hasn't won one of these yet, but has scored in every single round thus far. Timo Glock, last time he raced here was some 11 years ago. Timo settling nicely into his DTM role, and I think he will be near the front, not maybe in this race, but certainly next season. Matthias Ekstrom, the Red Bull car with the red markings, as Dr. Wolfgang Ulrich walks past. Let's see if Eki can do something today and move up, maybe using a different strategy to others. Gary Paffett then, he went back 5 places on the grid. Also a problem with the tyre markings not being recorded properly, and a fun crash helmet from Gary as he gets ready to race in his 100th DTM race, and he says he's going for the 200. There's Rob Wickens. We just heard from him then, the Canadian from Toronto, and I wonder what Rob can do here today. It's going to be a tough call though.
Jamie, your first pole position together with Audi, a first podium with Audi here in Oschersleben would be fantastic.
Yeah, of course. It's a long race as usual, so we'll see what happens, but we're in a good position and we should have a good package, so I'm looking forward to it.
Jamie Green on the grid. Here is Adrian Tambay starting in 10th place. The young Frenchman just put a couple of decent races together. Was in 4th place at Moscow, finished 6th 3 weeks ago in the Nürburgring. So there's Tambay. And Timo Scheider gives us, just using the camera to sort out his eyebrows. And it's been a long losing streak from Timo, but he's won here twice in the past. Martin Tomczyk, another champion of the DTM, who's struggled a bit this season. Remember, he came close to winning last year, his first with the new, the return of BMW. This season he's had all kinds of problems, but at least he went a little bit better at the Nürburgring, got into the points. Miguel Molina has qualified well. Again, the Spaniard hasn't been having a great season. There he is in the car that's livered in the RS5 colours, the bright red machine of the Spaniard. And then Bruno Spengler, look at that logos. They're different people's names who have signed up on Bruno's website, and their names on this race car. Was told how many of them are. I think there's almost 1,000. So Felipe Albuquerque yet to score any points this season. The Portuguese driver, very personable young man, and he'll be looking for a good result today. He needs to get into those points. And then Dirk Werner, of course, in the second of the Schnitzer cars, teammate to Bruno Spengler. No problem with his tyre markings. And then sitting there impassively, Mike Rockenfeller, the championship leader in the Phoenix Racing run Audi A5. And if everything goes to plan, and a lot of the other front runners have problems, he could even take the title today, but it's a pretty long shot, I have to say. Then Augusto Farfus, look at him, the Brazilian, been having an excellent season, and of course came into the BMW team, DTM team last year, and scored his first win. But on pole position for the first time with Audi, Jamie Green. So Jamie Green, how will this race go for him?
Mr. Marquardt, for the third time we've seen a 2 BMW in the top 4. Bruno Spengler was in pole position, but what happened to him? He got a penalty.
Well, yeah. Unfortunately for Bruno, when we put the tire stacks together, 2 tires were mixed up between two sets. They are all numbered, and obviously they have to match within a set. And somehow in the process, we got something wrong there, and that caused the penalty. 5 places on the grid, which is obviously extremely unfortunate in the situation. But I think still he has a fast car, long race, and there's still a lot that we can get.
Still some hope, and for sure also for Audi. We are having 6 Audi in the top 10. It's such a perfect team performance. But what are we going to see from Mike Rockenfeller? He has his first match point today.
Yes, I mean, it's going to be an interesting race, I think, not only for him, for everybody. We are in quite a good position on the grid, as you said, with 6 cars in the top 10. But as well, we are, let's say, the number 1 on the starting grid with the option tires, and in the prime tire race, or the standard tire race, as I call it. So on the 2 different strategies that you can imagine. So quite a good starting position for us.
So here we are at Oschersleben. This is the starting lineup. You can see who is on the option tyres. So Jamie Green will start on them. Rockenfeller and Dirk Werner, no, they're sticking on the primes. Different strategy from them. Then it's Albuquerque, highest grid position this season, of course, and Bruno Spengler. Of course, he's gone back those 5 places, and he will take the options. Miguel Molina and Martin Tomczyk. And just talking the options, you can see the yellow stripes there on our simulated cars. Timo Scheider from 9th place, what can he do? And Adrian Tambay. Then 11th to 12th, Rob Wickens and Gary Pappett in the 2 Mercedes again. Gary put back the 5 slots. Ekstrom and Verline, the youngest and one of the oldest drivers, together on that row of the grid. Then it's Marco Wittmann and Timo Glock starting in 15th and 16th places. Again, they're not running the same tyres at the start. Mortara and Joey Hand, who thought he had a good car but just didn't get out in qualifying at the right time. Andy Prio starts 19th with Christian Vitoris alongside him. You heard his problems earlier on. And then an all-Spanish back row of the grid, Roberto Meri and Danny Juncadella. And Juncadella, another man who had a penalty for a tyre mix-up. So temperatures there, 15.8, the air temperature, track temperature 19.8. Team bosses all waiting, ready for the start. Tense moments here. There's Mr. Marquardt, just heard from him. There's the Audi Brain Trust. And they are almost ready to go. Lights 5, they go out. Who makes a good start? And look at Rob Wickens on the grass. And look at Farfus on the inside. Green not being that aggressive there. Green deciding discretion is the better part of Valor. Rockenfeller is in 3rd place. Farfus has gone into the lead then from P2. And what about Spengler? Has he moved up at all? He's going to be absolutely furious. And, well, it'll be interesting to see once the pit lane opens in 3 or 4 laps' time. You'll see quite a lot of people come in, I think. There they go. Again, around that second gear, I should say, not second hand, and these are certainly not second-hand racing cars. Sweeping round here, trying to get pressure up in the tyres. And car 15, a jump start. Well, that's going to be a big disappointment then for Martin Tomczyk. Let's see if we can see Tomczyk moving. Yeah, well, he came out, didn't he? Well, he was close. And Mortara, very slow getaway, and he just moved forward and then he stopped, but that's enough to activate the jump start mechanism. He went round the slow starting Mortara, but Martin Tomczyk, he'll have to come into the pits. But he got a blinding start though. Past 3 or 4 people up front. You see Farfus with Green. Maybe could have defended a bit stronger, but could have ended in a big tangle, so decided against it. Jamie Green driving with his head there. And also seeing Spengler made a pretty good start there in 4th place. And Spengler trying round the outside and switches back. This is what Rockenfeller saw. Rockenfeller in 3rd place there, and Spengler comes past him as they accelerate out and down into the next second gear corners. Tomczyk takes his penalty. The drive-through is going to cost him somewhere in the region of 25 seconds or so. So a lot of work for the former champion to do. Farfus in the lead from Green and Spengler. Gary Paffett in 10th place, made up a couple of spots. Tambe there battling with Werner and Molina. And it does seem, from looking at the times, that the options are quite a bit quicker here than the standard tyre. Maybe there's as much as a second and a half in it. Remember, they'd never run on them until the start of the race, and that is the Tambe move, and very good on the brakes there as he goes down the inside of Werner in the Samsung car. And here they are, already going to make that switch. Rockenfeller switches the tyres. And the teams would have seen that Farfus and Green have got very good speed with the options, and they'll stay out quite a bit longer. There's Werner just going to get out just before Timo Scheider, and Paffett was right behind him. But here is Farfus. And Augusto Farfus with the V8 power DTM machine. Here's a little battle going on. That's Andy Prio. And Prio and Vitoris. And a bit of a tangle there, and a mirror goes flying. This is Vitoris' view. You see that mirror going? Maybe not. Vitoris going down the inside of Prio. The man from Guernsey, been having a challenging season this year. But Farfus, 12 laps in, 2.5 seconds ahead of Jamie Green. Then it's Spengler. But remember, Rockenfeller made an early pit stop. He's down the order at the moment, but doing some good lap times. Starting on the option seems to have been a good way to go there. You see nearly everybody on the options now after the pit stop set at Wehrlein. And Glockner has already made a second pit stop, so he's on a completely different strategy. Here is Spengler comes in with that unusual livery on the car with all the fans' names on the side of it. Meanwhile, Juncadella just making a move. There is Rockenfeller then coming out. And Rockenfeller out in front of Spengler. Spengler won this race from the pole last year. Doesn't seem to be going so well 12 months later. Here's the move down the inside from Juncadella. Started at the back, but of course has been having an absolutely fantastic rookie season as the current Formula 3 Euro champion. That was how Vitoris came out right in front there of the Audi. And that was Mortara who came out in front of course, and there Vitoris just in front of Mortara. So some good battles down the middle of the field here. Spengler certainly doesn't have that much speed in his car as far as I can see. Farfus, Green, Tambe, that's the top 3 at the moment. Rockenfeller, the best of the people who has stopped. And look at Rockenfeller, he's in 9th place, but has some very good speed in the car as far as I can see, as Farfus stops now. And Farfus goes on to a new set of tyres with a 4.2 stop. And where is Farfus going to come out in front of Rockenfeller? That's significant. Going to be quite close, but he's out just in front of him. That's very unusual exit to the pit lane here at Oschersleben. And there's that mirror we saw go flying, still sitting in the middle of the racetrack. So the big question now is, has Green got enough of a gap between him and Farfus? Green in the lead, but remember, he hasn't made a pit stop yet. Farfus is the best of the one-stoppers. We've got Glock, of course, on the two-stop strategy. Ekstrom's also joined in that. Well, this is the battle for fourth place and fifth, but could turn out to be the battle for the lead as we move in. Let's just see. Oh, that was pretty close, and yeah, Prio there snagged by Juncadella as the young Spaniard comes out. That could have damaged his car. It's just not been a season for Prio at all. The 3 times former world touring car champion has had a lot of success here in the past at Oschersleben. He's been on the podium here as that mirror almost gets nailed. And look at Timo Scheider. Timo Scheider goes past the current champion. And this is one of the best performances we've had from Timo Scheider, the most experienced man in the DTM. This is, I think, the 14th time that he's raced here. Green in then. Boys go to work at App Sport. Tyres on. Let's see where he's going to come out. How's he going to be? Green and Rocky. As there you see Farfus coming through. Rocky comes in. So his strategy that bit different. Albuquerque moves up to second place. So that was close. Rockenfeller launches out of the pits again. So Rocky onto his final set of tyres. And where will Rockenfeller come out? Remember, he's on this different strategy. He's got to be somewhere in the region of 25-ish seconds behind Farfus if he's going to be in the battle. And it looks to me as if Farfus has got enough of a gap that when he makes his second stop, he should be able to get out in front of Rockenfeller. What about Albuquerque there in the grey Audi? By far his best performance of the year. And Albuquerque, remember, no points at all this season, the Portuguese driver, as he dives into the pits now. And I suspect that Jamie Green might go a little bit longer. Jamie tends to run different strategies. He's working with Ekstrom's old engineer. And that relationship, Jamie tells me, really starting to gel well now. So important, the relationship between driver and engineer. Here's Rockenfeller, though, putting in some pretty good lap times. Rocky must now be thinking of the championship. And talking of the championship, many of the people who still had a chance of beating Rocky to the title, mathematically at least, are not in a position to do it anymore, and that certainly includes Spengler, who's gone backwards. And it looks to me as if this title is going to be in the final 2 rounds between Rockenfeller and indeed Farfus. If Farfus can win this, he'll stay in the hunt and everyone else will drop out of it. And the final 2 rounds will just be between the pair of them, and there is Rocky's girlfriend, and her heart is in her mouth, you can tell that. So, Green in the lead from Timo Scheider, Miguel Molina and Tambe. Look at all those Audis up there. Then Mortara and, well, at the moment, Whitman in 6th place. Whitman, the reserve driver last season. As Ekstrom goes past Werner. Ekstrom moving up, and Paffett doing a good job. He's done 2 pit stops. And Paffett, very good lap times coming from Gary in his 100th DTM race. Look at them bouncing over the curbs. The curbs have been changed since last year, but you still have to use a lot of curb in there. A bit of a push going on maybe. And there Ekstrom makes the move. Ekstrom so unlucky I should say, to be stripped of his excellent win in Norris Ring. Remember, in the end they decided nobody was the winner of that race. Out comes Molina. Back into the fray, and Rob Wickens in a battle here. And Wickens trying to get past Ekstrom and Spengler. Two past DTM champions, together with the most recent winner of a race. And Rob Wickens currently down in, that's actually the battle for 10th, 11th and 12th positions. And just Farfus's times are excellent, and Farfus may be in 5th place at the moment, but if you do the calculations, he's going to take a bit of beating in this race. Let's see how it unfolds in the final third of this event here, the 8th round of the DTM at Oschersleben. On board with Rob Wickens as Timo Scheider comes out. A little bit of slide on the tail there. 470 brake horsepower or so is applied to the tarmac. And there, Spengler. So Ekstrom at the moment, the meat in a Canadian sandwich. And look at this, and Paffett has Timo Scheider come out just in front of him. Meanwhile, now the two Canadians together, because Ekstrom has gone in front of them, and Wickens and leaning a bit on Bruno Spengler, a French-Canadian and an English-Canadian, if you will. Oh, and a tap there, and Wickens goes round. Wickens is off. Well, trying to find reverse. Always difficult to get reverse in these heated moments, and Rob Wickens off. And I don't think he's going to be very happy with Bruno Spengler after that incident. As Jamie Green comes in for his second and final pit stop. And, well, we have to see where Green comes out. Where will Green come out compared with Rockenfeller? That is really the key to this race now. Here is Rocky. He just looked across to the pits, I think. And there is Green coming out, and there is Rockenfeller. It's going to be Rockenfeller's. Yeah, Rockenfeller's got it by a couple of seconds. And this will morph into the battle for the lead as the race progresses through a few more laps and a few more pit stops. Mortara still out front, of course. He hasn't made his second stop yet. Almost everybody else has. Rob Wickens, pretty angry. And let's have a look at the replay. Well, a bit of bumping and boring before.
I tried passing him the first time, and he completely turned in on me in the first corner, and I had to go over the Ludwig curb to not make contact. And of course, then we did make contact. And then the next time when I actually passed him, he puts me completely on the grass on the inside of turn 2. And then the next corner, he completely just takes me out of the race. So, I mean, I have no idea what he was thinking.
Well, he's a tough racer, is Bruno Spengler. He hasn't won the championship for nothing. But, well, that Canadian battle ended with Rob Wickens being spun out, although he's managed to get going again. So Mortara's still out there, and now Spengler's lost his front bonnet. See all the motor underneath there. Another replay. And there, almost immediately the bonnet went flying. Very lightweight carbon fibre item. There was also a little nerfing going on behind, look. Well, you see the great big intakes on the car.
Bruno, you lost the pole position, you lost your bonnet, and now you lost all chances for the championship.
Yeah, that's a good summary, actually, so there's not much to add to this. Yeah, unfortunately, that's how it is.
How did you see the fight with Robert Wickens, the other Canadian?
Well, it was a close fight, you know. He drove into me twice, but it was not a big problem, you know, just next to me and a bit behind. And you know, I heard he was really unhappy about what happened, but you know, that's racing. You know, if he starts to rub against someone, he can expect that someone rubs against him also. So if he wants to play big, then he has to be also a big person, not being a kid.
So here we are at Oschersleben, and this man now starting to pull away. Look, 43 laps in, and Farfus's lead. The man from Curitiba, 6.4 seconds ahead of Mike Rockenfeller. Jamie Green, they're the second and third cars, pretty close together, still battling. And then it's the Portuguese driver, Albuquerque, by far his best run of the season. Timo Scheider is in 5th place. And, well, in that top 10, it's nearly all Audis, but also a very good run from Gary Paffett. There's Ernst Moser, team boss for Mike Rockenfeller. Battles all the way down the field, though. And then look at Pascal Wehrlein. Wehrlein goes down the inside, passes the BMW of Whitman, two of the youngest drivers, I think the two youngest drivers in this championship. And Werner with a lot more experience in front of them for BMW. But good move there from Wehrlein, and moves up a spot. See the Mercedes much stiffer on the suspension, bouncing around, and a touch, but it amounts to nothing. And in the end, positions don't even change, or do they, as Werner tries to drive down the inside but can't do it. And again, they have to avoid that mirror that's sticking out, and there is a very unhappy Bruno Spengler marching down the pit lane, and his defence of the 2012 DTM title is over. Edo Mortara running in 10th place in the Playboy car. There is Ekstrom, and look at all these Audis. Farfus leading in the BMW, and then it's Audi, and then a Mercedes. Farfus pulling away now. Looks as if he's heading for his second DTM win of the year, the third in his career. And down at Audi, he's got a few smiles on. There's Moser, who of course masterminded Martin Tomczyk's run to the DTM title. But Rockenfeller on the last lap now. Farfus heading for home. Rockenfeller second, Green, Albuquerque, Timo Scheider. There is Farfus in the Castrol Edge back car, reeling off the final corners here at Oschersleben through that triple chicane. And a word too for the RBM team from Belgium who prepared this car that had all that success in the WTCC in the past. They've done a good job as well getting this car certainly beautifully set up for this difficult technical racetrack here. There's Farfus, the family man from Brazil, his wife and daughter in the pits, and they will celebrate as he comes to cross the finish line and win the 8th round of the DTM, and Augusto Farfus scores an excellent victory here. Mike Rockenfeller gets closer to that title, and Jamie Green right behind him. Green's best performance yet with Audi, and Albuquerque is in there, and the rest to the finish line now. Timo Scheider, Gary Paffett. Ekstrom is 7th, then it's Molina, and the rest come home at the end of an excellent DTM race. Bart Manthe there, celebrating. Gustel, M3 Power, P1 Drive.
What a result, a BMW win in front of 8 Audi. That's incredible. Second win for Augusto Farfus this season.
Well, I mean, it's really great for Augusto. 3-2-1 in the last 3 races, so this is really incredible. Very strong drive from the beginning. But behind Augusto, we would have hoped, obviously, for something different. But that's the way we have to take it. Very strong performance by Audi. but at the same time, Augusto's still full in the hunt for the championship, and this is what we need to focus on.
So, Brazilian night tonight.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, Farfus, not a great party animal, though. In fact, Farfus, Rockenfeller, Green, Albuquerque, Scheider, Paffett, Ekstrom, Molina, Tombe and Mortara. And look at that, 8 Audis, all the 8 Audis finishing in the top 10 places. Verline 11th, Whitman, Werner, Merry, Glock, Hand and Juncadella.
Augusto, it's your second victory, your third DTM victory overall in the past 2 years. What a result. You're first in this race, so actually in front of 8 Audi. How does it feel?
Feels great. It was a great race. Car was fantastic. I managed a good start. I think that was the key of the race. We knew the only chance to beat Audi was passing them on the start. So I gave my very best to get a clean start, and it paid off. I had a clean run on my option. The car was very good, and we brought it home.
He brought it home, the winner here at Oschersleben, and also running a very good strategy. But what about Mike Rockenfeller? Let's hear from him now. He's with Eve.
2 victories, 2 second places. So now talking about the championship, there's still only Augusto Farfus and you left.
Well, it's for sure good news. Still, you know, keep pushing. You can see today we had a good race for sure, but we didn't have the pace to beat Augusto, which is a little bit a shame. But nevertheless, it's a great result for Audi. I heard on the radio that many cars are in the points from our brand, which is great and shows the performance.
All Audi in the points. Incredible team performance.
That's really unbelievable, and I think the boys deserve it. You know, the other drivers and also especially the mechanics in Ingolstadt and from the teams, they did a really hard job over the winter, and hopefully we can bring it home till the end.
And now we can see these championship positions with Mike Rockenfeller on 124. Remember, 50 points left to play for the Zandvoort and Hockenheim races to come. So only Farfus now can mathematically beat Rockenfeller. Then it's Vittoris, Wickens, Spengler and Paffett. But now we can hear from the man who finished in the points for Audi, Jamie Green.
You had your first pole position with Audi. Now it's your first podium position with Audi. How does it feel?
Yeah, it's good. Obviously, it's nice to keep improving, and at the end of the year now, things are really starting to feel natural for me with Audi, and that shows with the results. Obviously, the start was close with Augusto. I didn't want to have an incident in turn 1 because I know it's a long way to the end, and as you said, I haven't been on the podium so far, so I was very keen to get to the finish as well. And yeah, with Mike, I didn't fight too hard. Obviously, he's got a good opportunity in the championship, and I was happy to be able to support him in that goal.
Well, there they are up on the podium with the golden bottle. Well, it wasn't a great race, was it, for Mercedes-Benz? Nobody on the podium this time, but Gary Paffett in his 100th race did manage to get some decent points as the boys celebrate up there. And definitely now the sharp end of the season. So Farfus, second victory of the season, started with a win, of course. Don't drop that bottle. Fortunately, they didn't. Everyone taking a swig.
Gary, you're the only Mercedes finish in the top 10. You finished 6th. It was a hard fight for Mercedes.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it wasn't bad. I mean, starting P12 and finishing 6th was quite good. We made good progress. The car was quite strong. I had a race-long battle with Timo, and Eki was catching me towards the end. So from my side, I quite enjoyed the race. I really enjoyed my 100th race. It was good fun pushing the whole race, and yeah, I had a good time. But yeah, it looks like for the rest of the team, I mean, a lot of them started a long way back, so it was always going to be difficult. So.
Yeah, well done to Gary, the Brit finishing up there in the points, but well, it wasn't a happy day for Andy Prio. But this was a race of intensity again, of strategy, and now we can hear from the man behind the Audi success, Dieter Gas.
we're very pleased, obviously, with the result. I think Mike, he had a spot-on performance all weekend, as usual. I think I can say he made the best out of his situation by finishing second, and like this as well, boosting his championship chances. But for me, the overall important thing really is that this is a race for Audi. We have 8 cars in the top 10. That has not happened since we have 3 manufacturers back in the DTM, and I think not even before that. And this is the kind of result that you can only dream of.
There, kissing his wife and daughter there, and it's all down now to Farfus, but Rocky's certainly in the pound seats. From me, Andrew Murray, it's goodbye, and here's Eve.
As promised, it's crunch time in the DTM. What a thrilling race here in Oschersleben for the 8th round. 2 drivers are left in the battle for the championship title. It's Augusto Farfus for BMW and Mike Rockenfeller for Audi. So Mike is 33 points ahead, but there's still a lot going on. 50 points are left to gain. So actually, I'm looking forward to Zandvoort. Hope to see you there again. Bye-bye.